How many of y'all got that grandmama that can take sunflower seeds and turn it into a turkey? So we're sitting at the table. It's me, my sister, my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather, my two aunts sitting across the table, and there's a spot open, and I'm sitting there, I'm eating, and all of a sudden I stopped and I looked up and I looked around and I said, where's my dad? My grandmother, she stops and she slowly looks up at me and she gives me a look as if to say, we're not gonna have that conversation now. She never says a word. She puts her head back down. She continues to eat. I do the same thing. I go back to eating, and all of a sudden the macaroni and cheese doesn't taste the same, the ham on the bone, even my grandmama's homemade cornbread doesn't taste right, because I have this burning question in the back of my head, and before I realize it, I get so upset, I look up and I shout out, where's my dad? My grandmother, she stops. She slowly pushes away from the table. She gets up, she walks over to me, she grabs my hand, she pulls me into the kitchen, she sits me down, and she picks up the phone, and next thing you know, I hear my grandmother say, I don't care where you are, get here now. An hour later, I'm sitting downstairs in my grandfather's den, and I'm sitting in my dad's lap, and I'm crying so hard, I'm literally choking on my own tears. My chest is getting tight, my ears are burning. With every breath that I could grab, I'm saying, but Dad, why don't you want me? Dad, why don't you love me? Dad, what did I do wrong? I'm sorry. You wanna know what my dad said to me? I'm sorry, son. I'm just too busy. I was only 9 years old. And it was in that moment when my box got built. And this was my box. I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. I'm not loved. But the one thing that may catch you up from really experiencing your brilliance and your genius is that box. Ladies and gentlemen, things have happened in your past. Don't allow that to hold back your future. Because what happened was that situation with my dad, I walked out of that situation, and at first I was hurt, I was sad. But then that sadness turned into anger and bitterness, and all of a sudden, I was more focused on not forgiving my dad. And y'all, that grudge, that unforgiveness got in the way. I couldn't even focus on my opportunities because I was spending so much time on, you did me wrong, you shouldn't have done that. 13 years of my life, I held on to that grudge against my dad. And here's where it hit me the most. When an opportunity of a lifetime came up, I had made it to one of the final auditions for a television show called In Living Color. How many of you all have ever heard of the actor Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Lopez? All three of them got their start on In Living Color. And here's what happened. The day of my audition, I go and I'm getting myself ready, and I'm getting the calls from the family and this, that, and other, which is cool. And then all of a sudden, my dad calls me. And when he calls me, he heard through the grapevine that I made it to this final audition. And he's like, son, I really want to congratulate you. Go out there, rock it out. But my dad realized the error of his ways, and he started to come around. But because I was so focused on holding a grudge, not forgiving him, I wouldn't allow him in. So this morning, he's like, son, I just got to say, I've been trying to get back in your life, but you've been pushing back really hard. You won't let me in. I know I messed up. I'm sorry. Will you let me back in? My response to him was, hold on. When I wanted you, it didn't work for you. But now all of a sudden, because you have a conscience, you want me to just open up my life and let you in? I took that energy right into my audition, and I had the worst audition of my life. I missed out on an opportunity because the box was in the way. That is why I am bringing it up. Don't allow your box, your past, something that happened, hold you back. Don't let that get in the way. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, destroy the box. It's 3 steps to destroying the box. Number 1, you have to acknowledge that there is a box. I didn't realize I was walking around with a box. When I say you have to acknowledge it, for me, I was that dude in school who was mad just for no reason. How many of y'all got a friend like that? They mad on every day that ends in Y. And one day, I didn't realize that I had this box until the day I snapped on my mother. Y'all, let me just say, it is a blessing that I am standing here right now. That box, ladies and gentlemen, that box will come out and hurt some of the people who are closest to you. It came out to the one woman who looked out for me. It came out to the one woman who gave up everything for me to have what I needed. It came out to the one woman who would give her life for me. So number 1, you have to acknowledge that there is a box. Everybody put 2 fingers up like this and say, step number 2. You have to forgive the person that had you create that box. Now, some of y'all are like, why are we talking about forgiveness? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're holding on to a grudge longer than 5 minutes, you've held on way too long. And the thing is, you think that, I'm not going to forgive you. You think that's just a 1-second thing. No, you work really hard. You keep focused on not forgiving that person. And I realized, Aric, this is getting in the way of your life. You have to forgive the person. I finally forgave my dad after the In Living Color situation when I bombed. And we got a little bit better, but we didn't fully get there, which leads to step number 3. You have to forgive yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Many of us in this room have done something that's affected someone in a negative way, and we're walking around kind of holding on to that guilt. I can't believe I did that. I don't deserve the opportunity. No, ask that person for forgiveness and move on, because you do deserve the opportunity. And it's time for you to be ready for it. Number 1, acknowledge that there is a box. Number 2, forgive the person that had you created. Number 3, forgive yourself. And I'm not saying it because it sounds good. I'm saying it because that's what I live. And now me and my dad, we have the most amazing relationship right now. It all starts with you. Do you, and do you unapologetically.